The dimensions tab over here is going to show us data broken down by different segments that we don't have available in other places in the account. The view button is where I'm going to select how I want to see my data. Do I want to view it by top movers, which keywords are generating the highest click-through rates and the highest cost? I could view my information by geographic location, by the search terms. I could see a lot of different information in this dimensions tab, and once again, we're going to go ahead and we'll take a look at that in more detail in accounts that have more data, so you can get a sense of what's going on. So that's the tab menu up over here. A few more important buttons and things whatnot before we start going into another account with some live data is this submenu over here. That's generally remains the same throughout most of the metrics. So the key metrics like campaigns, ad groups, ads, and keywords, you have the same submenu over here, and that's where you're going to be spending a lot of your time. So campaigns, ad groups, ads, and keywords, those are the tabs that you're really going to be using most of the time to analyze and build your account. Audiences, ad extensions, and dimensions are going to be used much less frequently, and they're often used, ad extensions are used to actually build your ad extensions, of course. Dimensions and audiences are only used to really view your data and to set up remarketing. So you're going to want to understand the submenu over here. So this is all but removed campaigns. This button is specifically geared towards showing you or letting you choose how you want to view your data. Do you want to see all campaigns, all your enabled campaigns, or all your enabled and paused campaigns except for your removed campaigns? And I'll usually look at the data by all enabled campaigns. Right now that'll be nothing because we have that paused campaign, so I'll go to all. This is the same thing for ad groups, where I could see all enabled, and it's the same thing for ads and keywords. I could see my all enabled campaigns and keywords and ad groups, all of them but removed, or all, which will include anything that's removed as well. So that's an important selector. Segmentation is another great tool that's used for some more advanced functions, where I could segment my ad group data by time, conversions, network, click type, device, top versus other, and +1 annotations. +1 annotations is obviously if you had a Google Plus share on an ad or a keyword or an ad group, that will show you that information segmented out. So for example, if I wanted to see which ad groups, how the ad groups performed by day of the week, I could select that segment, and down here, this is exactly what it would look like. So we'll see the ad group called rolling, which talks about rolling desk chairs. We'll be able to see how it performed on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I can see all my information, all my data broken down by that segment. And same thing goes for every ad group in the account when I have that segment set up. So to remove that segment, I would simply go back to segment and hit none. And now I'll go back to my normal view of the data. Filtering is a button that's going to allow us to create advanced filters to view my data in specific ways, and we'll talk about setting up a filter in a separate chapter. And columns is another very important selector, which is going to allow us to choose and order the columns that we see in this data. So here we are. Let's go back to campaigns. I like to get a good basic broad overview of my information at the campaign level. So I'll go to columns, modify columns, and here I have a screen which we've seen before, which will allow me to choose the columns that I want to include. So let's say I remove all these columns by hitting the X button. On all these optional columns, as you see under the campaigns view, under the campaigns report, you have a few columns that you must include. So if I hit apply, now all of a sudden my data became much more clean. I see my status, the campaign name, whether it's pause or enable, and the status of the campaign and the budget. So if I went to columns, modify columns, I can go ahead and add some new columns. So I want to click campaign type. We're not using labels, so I can leave off labels. I don't need my campaign ID. Under performance, so this is some of the most important metrics. I want to see clicks. I want to see impressions. I want to see click-through rate. I want to see average cost per click. I want to see my total cost. I want to see the cost of that campaign. I want to see average position. And that's probably really the most important, core columns. And we could experiment. You could always experiment with other columns to see if you want to see that data, depending on your campaign, depending on your marketing goals. Different metrics are going to be, or different metrics will have different levels of importance. If we're tracking conversions, and of course, your campaigns should definitely always be tracking conversions. We're going to want to see, we'll want to see converted clicks, cost per converted click, click conversion rate. If we're tracking conversion value, I want to see total conversion value. And I want to see conversion value divided by cost, which is my ROI. And I can go to attribution. I could see, click assisted conversions. I could see social metrics, shares, plus ones, comments. There's a lot of different columns we could add, and obviously the columns can get very, very overwhelming. But what I would recommend is to really just keep with these core columns for most campaigns. I could choose to save this set of columns and make a name. I'll create a name for this set of columns, which I could always add. But I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to hit apply. Oh, I have to deselect save. And now I have the column that I want to see. I have my clicks, impressions, campaign type, search network only, click-through rate, average cost per click, cost, average position, and so on and so forth. And these are the columns I saw. So the columns is something which you're definitely going to use quite often to modify and to edit and to change how you're viewing this data. So I could also change my columns by ad groups. I might want to see different information at the keyword level. I might want to see different types of columns and different types of data. So I would use that columns button to go in there and to really take a look at what's going on. Going back to campaigns, there's a couple more buttons over here that are important to know. One is the graph icon, show and hide the graph. So I can click show and hide this graph over here, and that's going to allow me to get a clear sense of exactly what is going on from a line chart perspective. So I can choose clicks versus conversions if I wanted to. I could kind of manipulate that graph. And once again, obviously, we're not showing any information. But once our account starts getting data, this show hide graph icon is a great way to get an overall sense, and we could hover over each specific day. If we have it set to daily, we might have it set to weekly, monthly, and we can see how the data has changed based on our KPIs that we select here. And we don't have to have it to be versus, we could just do none and we'll just show clicks. This button over here, which we've seen before already, is the download report, and it pulls up our options for downloading the current view that we're seeing here. And the search box will allow us to do a quick filter. So if I want to find, if I have a whole bunch of campaigns, or let's go to keywords, and I want to use my search, I want to find all keywords with the word modern. So I just type in modern, hit enter, and it creates for me an automatic filter with the keyword text containing modern. I could expand that filter and add new rules. So I want to do contains the word modern, and it kind of, I could say has a quality score of at least greater or equals to a 5, and hit apply. And that'll, change my results based on my new filter. I could also just clear the filter out and start from scratch. So that's the search box. Down here we have like we just saw, the KPIs that we could do a versus, so clicks versus impressions, or clicks versus search impression share. I will go talk about a little bit more in detail what those columns are. And over here we have the date selector, or the range selector for this graph down here. Up here in the upper right hand corner, a very important drop down selector, but it's simply your date range. So that Google gives you a whole bunch of different pre-selected date ranges. And you also have the option to choose a custom date range. If we click on custom, we can go ahead and change the dates for which we'd like to view our data. And I can click apply. Another cool feature of the date range selector is allows us to compare. So if I wanted to compare my information from the previous period or same period last year, I could go ahead and do that and click apply. And now I'll be able to open up these columns, and it'll show me the difference in the data between those date ranges. And it'll show me how much the data has changed, whether it's increased, decreased, and the percentage that it's either increased or decreased. So that's a very, very cool function to compare how you're doing. So you can compare last week to the week before, last month to the month before, this past week to the same week last year, or to compare to a completely custom date range. So the compare function is really cool. If you'd like to shut the compare function off, all you do is hit this button under the date range selector and hit apply, and now you're back to your normal specific date range view. Down below here, we have some more buttons. These are pretty self-explanatory. They exist for campaigns, ad groups, ads, and keywords as well. Editing is all the different changes that you could make to the information you have selected. So this edit menu is going to change whether you're in your ad groups, ads, keywords, or campaigns tab up here, but it's all the possible edits that you could make. So if I selected, these two keywords here and I hit edit, I could do any of these things to those two selected keywords. I can copy them. I could paste keywords that I've copied. I could download a spreadsheet. I could change the text of the keywords. I could change the match types. I could do a whole bunch of different things in this edit menu, and we'll talk about, we're going to go ahead and actually make some of these changes in a later video, but this is just to show you what it looks like. Details will be different based on the overall tab that you're in. So for this, under our keywords tab, we could go ahead and see search terms selected all, and the search terms is what we call the search query report, and we're going to take a look at that in a separate video, kind of dedicated for the search query report. So hold on over there. We could also see keyword diagnosis for those keywords that we have selected, and we could also take a look at auction insights. Auction insights is a really cool feature that's going to show us our competitive landscape. Which other companies are we overlapping with in the ad auction, how often, and what our average position is. So that's something which is going to be cool, and we'll take a look at in a live account to see what that looks like. Bid strategy will show us will give us the ability to change how we bid, whether we want to use a flexible bid strategy, if we want to use manual CPC bidding, which of course we generally do. So we'll be able to set up manual CPC bidding once we're ready to create our own bids at a keyword level. And the automate button is something which we're going to use very, very infrequently. We're going to cover it in a later video, but it's the tool that will allow us to create some automated rules. So for example, one rule might be decrease the max CPC bid of any keyword with a quality score below 5. So if we wanted that rule to run every single morning to analyze our account, look for keywords with a 5 quality score and decrease our bid, or pause the keyword, we could set that up over here via automated rules. And we'll talk about setting up automated rules in another chapter. So that was a basic overview of the dashboard, of the different buttons. Once again, up here, as you know, we have our gear icon. This is where we navigate to billing, account settings, linked accounts, and your help. Your little bell icon is your notifications. You'll see when you have new opportunities, and if you have some conflicts, if you have any issues with billing, you'll get some notifications up here, which you could dismiss. And over here is your account, which will allow you to sign out, add an account, and navigate to other account settings. That's the overall view of the dashboard. I know that this is a tremendous amount of information. It's extremely complex. There's a lot of different buttons and tabs, but I wanted to give you a basic sense of what all the buttons do, even if we're not going to be using all of them, just so you shouldn't feel that you're left in the dark with anything. So that's really how the basic overall account looks like. Those are how the buttons work. You don't need to remember or make sure that you could find anything you need right away. The more you just work in your account, the more you're adding keywords, the more you're analyzing your keywords, the more campaigns you add, ad groups you add, the easier it's going to be for you to navigate to the areas that you need. You're going to be able to pick these things up. You're going to start picking these things up as if they were second nature. You're going to know how to add ad extensions. You're going to know how to analyze and do segmentations and look at your conversion history and change your columns and view your graph and download your reports and add your negative keyword lists. There's a lot to know, but it's going to come just out of habit. So just keep at it, keep working in the account, keep building new keywords, and all this stuff is going to come. You're going to get it. It's going to work. It's going to click. We're going to continue to cover a lot of these features of the dashboard, a lot of analyzing of the accounts. We're going to take a look at a whole bunch of new live accounts, and you're going to start getting a very, very clear sense of how all this works. So just you kind of keep at it. Get a basic sense of what the different buttons do, but the main thing is just spend that time. So that's it for this video. That's the overview of the campaign dashboard. In the next video, we're going to start talking about, really building this campaign out, adding campaigns, how to add campaigns, how to add ad groups, how to add keywords, how to change our keyword match types, things like that. And it's going to be a good way for us to start building out and expanding on our foundation that we've built so far. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching this one, and we will see you again very soon in the very next video. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.